My fiancée laughed with her friends about cheating on me, so I played the recording at our engagement party, then left her in front of everyone. I'm a 29-year-old guy, and for the longest time, I thought I was the luckiest man alive. Her name's Sarah, and to me, she was everything. Beautiful in that effortless, sun-through-the-window way. Smart, sarcastic, playful. The kind of woman who made you feel like the world was on mute when she laughed. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party 4 years ago, one of those chance encounters where time just folds in half. Within weeks, we were inseparable. Within months, I was picturing our future in slow motion. I don't come from money. Never have. So I've been grinding. 2 jobs, sometimes 3. Saving every dollar I could for a wedding that would make her eyes sparkle. Meanwhile, she was deep in planning mode, color schemes, tasting menus, mood boards, Pinterest spirals at 2 a.m. I'd come home to our apartment to find her surrounded by open laptops, champagne swatches and half-eaten takeout. You're doing too much, she'd smile, resting her head on my shoulder. But I love you for it. I believed her. I believed in us. Our families adored her. My mom called her my bonus daughter. My friends teased me, said I'd hit the relationship jackpot. Bro, she's a keeper, they'd say, over and over. And I'd laugh, proud, grateful. I wore that praise like a badge. She had a way of making me feel like I was enough, like I was her favorite person in the room, like no one had ever loved this hard before. Sometimes I'd wake up early just to watch her sleep and think, how did I get so lucky? And maybe that's the cruelest part of all of this, because when someone makes you believe they'd never hurt you, you never think to look for the knife. It was a Tuesday night, and I had just walked in from my second job, exhausted, smelling like fryer grease, holding a plastic container of leftover sliders I thought she'd appreciate. I paused in the hallway when I heard her voice drifting from the bedroom. Please, as if he'd ever find out. Then laughter, sharp, nervous. I stood there for a beat, frozen by how unfamiliar her tone sounded. Like a version of her I didn't recognize, confident, careless, someone who wasn't worried about being heard. She must have seen my shadow because a second later she called out, Babe, that you? I stepped in, doing my best to smile. Yeah, just got in. Brought you sliders. She ended the call quickly, still giggling as she sat cross-legged on the bed. Just girl stuff, she said, brushing hair from her face. We were talking about one of Lisa's dates. Total train wreck, I nodded, pretending not to notice how fast she flipped her phone face down. Later that night, while we watched TV, her phone buzzed again. I reached instinctively to hand it to her, and she snatched it from my hand. Not playfully, instinctively. Almost like I'd touched something sacred. I laughed awkwardly. Okay, damn. She smiled, kissed my cheek, and said, Sorry, group chat stuff. You don't want to see the cursed things we send each other? I tried to let it go. I really did. But something about the way her eyes didn't quite meet mine stuck with me. That weekend, I suggested we sync calendars for the engagement party stuff. She hesitated, said she'd handle it, and didn't want me to stress about details. Called me sweet. Kissed my forehead, but it didn't feel sweet. It felt like a wall. I told myself I was tired, paranoid, insecure, that maybe I was projecting stress from work onto her. That love meant trust, right? Still, a voice in my gut whispered. Something was off. And that was the first time I felt like a guest in my own relationship. It was a Saturday morning, one of those rare days I had off from both jobs. Sarah had gone out to get her nails done with a friend, and I figured I'd surprise her by cleaning up the apartment before she got back. I was wiping down the kitchen counter when I heard a familiar ding from the living room. Her iPad was sitting on the coffee table, screen lit up. A FaceTime call had just connected automatically, I guess, since she'd answered it on her phone too many times before. I paused, half expecting to hear music or silence. Instead, I heard her voice. Oh my God, stop, she giggled. You're going to get me in trouble. 2 other voices laughed with her, friends I vaguely recognized from her college days. At first, it was innocent. Just chatter about wedding plans, dress fittings, some complaint about a bridesmaid being too opinionated. I smiled to myself. It was kind of sweet hearing her so excited. Then one of the girls asked something I didn't catch. Sarah's voice dropped into a mock whisper. Honestly? I could sleep with Aaron and he'd never know. The room went still. I stopped wiping. I didn't breathe. Her friends howled with laughter. One of them teased, "Girl, you're savage." Sarah laughed harder. No, seriously, he's too obsessed with me to even see it. I could say I was out getting coffee and come back 2 hours later and he'd be like, "Okay, babe, I missed you." The screen glowed quietly. My hand tightened around the sponge. They moved on to something else, brunch plans or whatever, but I didn't hear it. My ears were ringing. I wasn't even angry yet, just stunned, like someone had dumped cold water over my whole reality. That was the first time I felt stupid, and I hadn't even heard the worst yet. I didn't say anything that day, not when she walked through the door with her pink-glossed smile and almond milk latte. Not when she kissed my cheek and called me her favorite human. I just smiled, numb. But something inside me had shifted. I couldn't unhear what I'd heard, couldn't unsee how easily she played both roles, the doting fiancée and the woman who laughed about cheating like it was harmless gossip. So I stopped pretending, not to her but to myself. I didn't scream. I didn't confront. I recorded, we lived together, both our names on the lease. The apartment, the Wi-Fi, the shared tech, her iPad, her laptop, even our smart speaker. It was easy enough to set up a legal call recording app on a synced device. She was careless, too confident. She never noticed. Over the next few weeks, I collected hours of audio. Most of it was just background noise, nothing useful. But every so often, I struck gold. Like the time she told her friend, he pays the rent and lets me use his credit card for dresses. Honestly, he's like a fiancé and a sugar daddy rolled into one. Or the day she casually admitted, it wasn't even that bad. We just made out in his car and I didn't take my ring off. Oops, the worst one? Her friend asked, "Does he still think you're loyal?" Sarah snorted, "Please." He'd marry me tomorrow if I asked. He thinks I'm the best thing that's ever happened to him. And maybe I am, he just doesn't know what that actually means. I remember sitting in the dark, headphones on, knees pulled up to my chest, listening to that line over and over like it was a funeral hymn. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I clipped together every dirty laugh, every smug confession, every knife she drove into my trust. I saved it into one cold, clean audio file. I didn't know what hurt more, her betrayal, or how proud she was of it. After that, I stopped looking for proof. I had it, all of it. Every giggle, every slip, every smug little secret she thought I'd never uncover. I had them lined up like dominoes, just waiting for the right moment to fall. And still, I kissed her good morning. I brought home flowers. I told her I couldn't wait to spend forever with her. It was like living in a play where only I had read the script. 2 weeks later, she came bouncing into the kitchen, waving a printed invitation in her hand. "Guess what? I booked the venue. Engagement party's officially on." She was glowing. Private terrace, string lights, open bar, your mom's gonna cry. She had no idea. She invited everyone. Her parents, mine, cousins, co-workers, bridesmaids, groomsmen, even some old college friends I hadn't seen in years. A guest list of over 50. She wanted to make it grand, a night no one would forget. I smiled and told her it sounded perfect. Behind the scenes, I started working on a little project of my own. I hired a tech-savvy friend from work, paid him under the table. "I need a slideshow," I told him. "Photos, music, the usual. But at the end I want to drop in a video." He raised an eyebrow. "Wedding montage stuff?" "Not exactly," I said. We worked on it late at night when she was asleep. He added transitions, background music, titles. And then, when the last sweet picture faded out, we stitched in the audio clips. Just the right ones. The cruelest ones, I timed them, made sure they hit like punches. The whole thing ran just under 6 minutes. I burned it to a private USB and I hid it in my coat pocket, right next to the little speech I planned to give if she wanted a night to remember. I was going to give her one. 3 days before the engagement party, Sarah became someone else, not the mocking voice I'd recorded, not the cold, calculating version I'd heard behind my back. No, she was soft, attentive, sweet in the way she used to be back when we first met. She surprised me with takeout from my favorite Thai place, lit candles in the bedroom, even wore the perfume she knew I loved, the one I hadn't smelled on her in months. We made love that night, slow, intimate, like she was trying to memorize me. Afterward, we lay in bed, tangled in silence. She rested her head on my chest and whispered, "I can't wait to be your wife." My chest tightened, not with love, but confusion. She handed me a little notebook the next morning. "I started jotting down ideas for my vows," she smiled. "Thought you'd want to do the same." My hand shook, taking it. I kept telling myself, maybe I misunderstood the recordings. Maybe they were just dark humor. Maybe she had changed. Maybe she meant it this time. Maybe I was the villain for spying in the first place. That night, while she was in the shower, her phone buzzed twice on the nightstand. I wasn't going to check it. I really wasn't. But then I saw the name, Ashley. I hesitated, then opened it. "Still thinking about that kiss today," it read. "Your lips should come with a warning." My blood turned to ice. Another text popped in. "He really has no clue, huh?" I sat down slowly, gripping the phone, the words blurring through the rage rising in my throat. There were more messages, screenshots, memes, inside jokes I wasn't part of. The betrayal wasn't old. It wasn't over. It was active, all that sweetness. The vows, the tears, just another performance, and just like that, the slideshow was back on the table. The day before the party, I drove to my mum's house without saying a word to Sarah. Just sat across from her on the patio, nursing a cold cup of coffee I couldn't bring myself to sip. "I need to tell you something," I said. She listened in silence as I laid it all out. The recordings, the messages, the fake affection. The other guy, everything. I watched the light leave her face, slowly and painfully, like someone dimming a candle that once burned so bright for the both of us. When I was done, she covered her mouth and whispered, "Oh, honey." No, I expected her to be angry, to grab her coat and storm over to Sarah's place. But she didn't. Instead, she reached across the table and took my hand. "You don't have to burn the house down just because someone else set fire to it," she said softly. "You can just walk away without saying a word?" She nodded. That would hurt her more than any scene you could make. I wanted to believe her. I almost did. But later that night, I met up with my best friend, Jordan. I told him the same story, same details, same heartbreak. He didn't hesitate. "No, dude. No, she played you. She mocked you. She used you. She deserves to be exposed for who she really is." That slideshow? That's not revenge. That's truth. And she's earned it. The voices in my head wouldn't stop arguing. One telling me to walk away with grace. The other begging me to let her choke on the lies she thought were invisible. I thought about the nights I spent delivering pizzas instead of sleeping. The vacations I cancelled to save for her ring. The way she laughed about me like I was a joke on speakerphone. I didn't sleep the night before the party. Not because I was nervous, because I was done. The venue looked like something out of a dream. Twinkling string lights curled around wooden beams. Soft jazz played in the background, and golden champagne flutes sat perfectly lined along the bar. Everyone was dressed to impress. My mom in her emerald dress, her dad in a tailored navy suit, our friends clinking glasses and laughing like it was the start of something beautiful. And in a way, it was. Just not the way anyone expected. Sarah floated around the room like a bride on her wedding day, hugging people, complimenting outfits, stealing kisses from me like we were the golden couple from a Hallmark movie. She looked radiant, Undeniably so. And if I hadn't known the truth, I would have believed every second of it. About an hour in, after the toasts and appetizers, she took the mic with that signature sparkle in her eye. I just want to say thank you to everyone who came tonight, she began, her voice soft but clear. This has been the happiest season of my life, and I can't wait to marry the love of my life, my rock, my best friend. The man who makes every day feel like home. Applause, laughter. Even my mum smiled, just barely. Sarah handed me the mic, expecting some corny, emotional toast. I smiled back, calm, almost peaceful. Thank you, Sarah, I said, and thank you all for coming. Before we popped the champagne and danced the night away, I put together a little video, a highlight reel, you could say. Just something to show how lucky I've been, she beamed. The room quieted. I walked over to the laptop near the projector, clicked the file, and stepped aside. The lights dimmed, the screen lit up. And then the truth spoke for itself. At first, the video opened with soft piano music and pictures of us, smiling at the beach, carving pumpkins, kissing under Christmas lights. A few people awed. Sarah reached for my hand, beaming. Then the tone changed. The screen went black, and her voice cut through the silence. Honestly? I could sleep with Aaron, and he'd never know. Laughter, gasps echoed across the room. Her friends in the crowd stiffened, recognizing their own voices. He's too obsessed with me to even see it. Like, I could tell him I was with my mom and come back smelling like cologne and he'd still kiss me. Murmurs. Chairs creaked. Someone dropped a glass in the corner. The next clip hit harder. I mean, he pays for everything. Rent, clothes, even my gym membership. He thinks he's building a life with me. Isn't that adorable? Sarah's hand slowly fell away from mine, her smile gone, replaced with a pale, twitching stillness. She looked around the room. Her dad's jaw was clenched. Her mother sat frozen, mouth slightly open. Her cousin pulled out her phone and stopped recording. It was no longer a celebration. It wasn't even that serious, okay? Just a little messing around. I didn't take my ring off or anything. More gasps, whispers. Someone muttered, "Oh my God." Sarah's lips parted like she wanted to speak, but nothing came out. Her eyes darted to me, pleading silently. I didn't say a word. I stood there with my hands folded, watching the betrayal unfold on screen with the same stunned detachment I'd once felt hearing it live. This wasn't anger anymore. It was just exposure. Raw and cold, the final clip echoed louder than the rest. He'd marry me tomorrow if I asked. Poor guy doesn't even realize he's a backup plan. The music faded, the screen went black, and when the lights came back on, you could have heard a pin drop. The silence cracked with Sarah's voice. I can explain, she stammered, forcing a laugh that didn't land. That stuff was old, okay? Like months ago. It was just girl talk, stupid jokes. I didn't mean any of it. No one said a word. She looked at her friends, desperate. Lisa, come on, tell them. We were just messing around, right? Lisa avoided her eyes. Sarah, I said, my voice steady. That last clip was recorded 9 days ago. The one before that. 2 weeks ago. The gym membership line? 3 weeks ago, right after you asked me to pay your dress deposit. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. I have timestamps, I continued, and backups of everything. I didn't include it all tonight because, honestly, 6 minutes was enough. Her face went sheet white. It was edited, she whispered. You twisted it? No, I said. You did. Her dad shifted in his seat, jaw clenched so tight I thought he might crack a tooth. Her mum stood slowly, eyes glassy, and walked out of the room without a word. The rest of the guests sat in stunned silence. No one moved. No one dared break the stillness. Sarah tried one last time. You don't have to do this, she said, voice shaking now, real tears starting to surface. Please, we can talk in private. Just don't throw everything away over one mistake. One? I asked. She reached for my hand. I stepped back. Then I looked out at the guests, clearing my throat. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate you being here. There's no engagement. There won't be a wedding, but there is plenty of champagne, so enjoy the night. A few awkward chuckles. Most people still too stunned to react. I turned and walked toward the exit, ignoring Sarah's voice behind me, calling my name like it still had power. And I walked past her without a word, like she was just part of the wallpaper. I figured the story would make the rounds in our circle, maybe a few awkward conversations at work, a couple of deleted photos on Instagram. I didn't expect it to blow up on TikTok. Apparently, one of Sarah's cousins had filmed the entire moment, the video, her reaction, my calm exit, and uploaded it with the caption, "When the groom-to-be exposes the cheater at their own engagement party." By morning, it had over 1 million views. By that evening, 3 million comments flooded in. This is the kind of petty I aspire to. Bro carried that pain with class. She really thought she could outplay the quiet ones. It felt surreal, like I'd stepped out of my own grief and into a viral movie. A few days later, one of Sarah's old friends, someone who'd been in the crowd, texted me, "You did what every betrayed person dreams of doing." That wasn't revenge. That was justice. I stared at that message for a long time. Sarah, on the other hand, wasn't taking the silence well. She called, texted, left voicemails that ranged from crying to screaming to apologizing to blaming it all on pressure and bad influences. I never responded. Eventually, I blocked her. That's when her parents called. Her dad's voice cracked. He sounded ashamed, like he couldn't believe what he'd raised. Her mom begged me to talk to Sarah, said she was a wreck, said she'd learned her lesson. I thanked them for calling, then hung up because, here's the truth. No one likes to say out loud, you can forgive someone without ever letting them near you again. You can let go of anger without forgetting how they made you feel disposable. She burned something sacred and expected me to help sweep the ashes. But you don't build trust on ashes. It's been a year now. 12 months of unlearning, unpacking, rebuilding. I moved out of that apartment, changed my number, took a new job 3 states away. The air feels different here, cleaner, quieter. No ghosts trailing behind me, no lingering perfume on pillowcases that don't belong to her. I started therapy. At first, it felt strange, like admitting weakness. But slowly, it became a sanctuary, a place where I could say things I hadn't even admitted to myself. Like how much it broke me to love someone who saw me as a punchline. Or how hard it was to look in the mirror and not see the fool she painted me as. But I kept showing up. To therapy, to my life. I traveled. Just me, a backpack, and silence. I hiked through foggy mountains in Oregon, journaled on the beach in Tulum, sat alone in Tokyo cafes where no one knew my name, and somehow that felt like freedom. The pain, it's still there sometimes, but it's quieter now. It doesn't scream anymore, and yes, I'm dating again, nothing serious yet, just honest conversations and unhurried laughter, but I show up differently now. I don't romanticize red flags or mistake butterflies for warning signs. I listen to my gut. I respect my own peace. Looking back, I don't regret what I did. I don't regret exposing the truth, even if it made people uncomfortable, because lies rot in silence, and she thrived on mine. Sometimes closure isn't a conversation. It's not forgiveness. It's not sitting down to get answers. Sometimes closure is the silence after the mic drop. It's not about revenge. It's about refusing to let someone laugh at your loyalty and get away with it. So if you're being mocked behind your back, let the truth be your speaker.